Hello and welcome. Welcome again, once again, to another Contemplative Living, where we talk about concepts to bring contemplation or contemplative living into our everyday lives. So, this is, Spirit once in a while reminds me to go back to basics and to, there's nothing wrong with looking at our base, our root, and examining, where we've come. In fact, Spirit once said to me, "Listen deeply to the rhythm of your heartbeat and breath. Notice how the whole body relaxes, and it relaxes with deep listening." The more we practice deep listening, the further inward we go towards stillness. And that's what we're going to really examine today. We're going to go and look at some of the first steps that we take in our spiritual path. So let's get into it.
Welcome to Contemplative Living, where we view contemplations for the week to have a better understanding of our spiritual paths. This is Contemplative Living with Dave Bennett, contemplations and reflective meditations.
All right, so I just love that little meme of me sitting in front of a lotus. It just cracks me up every time I see it. All right, so we're talking about the first steps that we take when we're, sincerely wishing to go down that spiritual path. And some of the very first things to look at are the balance that we have in life. We have to find a balance, and it's really critical because balance is so immediate, so intimate and accessible in every moment of experience. But we have to attain it. We have to work toward it sometimes, especially at first. Now, I've been practicing for many years, and so for me, it's a matter of a breath, and I can come back to my center. And breath is so wonderful as a focus point. It's just an amazing focus point to help us to... Good morning. How you doing, Parkview Street? I'm glad you're here. So we're working on, those first steps. What do we do? How do we get started? And so attaining our balance, feeling that core center of who we are and bringing that forth. And it can involve our wisdom, our vision, our emotions, and our inner power, and we can bring all that together into a balance. So I don't think of balance as straight up and down balance of my core. I think of it as a whole, as a circle. I was taught in the power of the circle. And I grew up with a lot of Native Americans, and this is kind of the way that I view balance, is to find that center within my circle. So we're used to projecting our attention outward into the world. And it's a noticeable shift when we face inward. Now, facing inward is attaining that balance and then concentrating, focusing on it, allowing our consciousness to kind of like meld in with our balance and allow that focus to then turn inward. It's almost a natural progression when we're using balance and we start focusing on our breath, taking a few deep breaths, and allowing ourselves to just allow our energy to calm and to settle, then we start to see that small, quiet space that resides within us. So bring conscious awareness to your balance. It's generally overlooked, but a vital first step in learning about ourselves. What is our circle? And and have fun with it. It's really important that we have fun with it, and that the quality of every relationship is enhanced by the care brought to it by each person. Every one of us is responsible when interacting with others to bring a focus, a care of what we're doing together. And when we do that, it enhances, it expands that energy between two people. And I'm not just talking about, our loved ones. I'm talking about every relationship in work, out in the world. When we're in the grocery store, the relationship, there's always a relationship going on whenever we're interacting with other people. So be that person that brings care and balance into the relationship, into the interaction, and allow that to enhance the world around you, the circumstances around you. Life is a balancing act. Each of us is perched upon a precarious pole and trying to stay centered in a swaying and breezy world. We all know that, the world is constantly trying to knock us off center. It's trying to constantly pull us one way or another, whichever way the wind is blowing. And so, it's our responsibility to find that balance, find how to sway with the breeze, how to allow it to flow through us, but not be attached to it. And so we want to wed our discipline to joy and find pleasure in life's myriad of wonders. There are wonders all around us. And when we breathe and we're centered and we find that stillness, even a moment of that stillness, it allows us to walk forward with that openness, with that authenticity of who we really are. And when we wed that with joy, you saw that one meme I showed just a little earlier where the gal was on the practice surfboard, where she's practicing her balance, right? But you could see the joy. She brought joy into the practice of finding her balance. And that's what we're trying to do, is bring joy into the discipline. Now, discipline sounds harsh, right? We all think of that word discipline. It has a lot of archetypical energy associated with it. But when we're talking about our spiritual discipline, we can use joy as a motivation. I look forward to my practice every morning. It's such a part of who I am that I enjoy. I really enjoy. And in fact, I feel out of sorts if I don't do it. If I don't practice my discipline every day, I feel a little out of sorts. So I'm joyous in the fact that, this is my moment for me. This is what I have to help myself be the best person that I possibly can be, so that I can go out into the world and interact in a calm and peaceful way. But remember, always remember, take in what is offered and available without being consumed by it. This means, I mentioned earlier, allow it to flow through you, but not be attached to you. So there's I once saw this great illustration. Maybe in the future I'll make a meme out of it, of allowing the circumstances of the world to flow through you as if you were a barbed wire fence. So, and I lived out in the West for quite a few years, and so you're used to that vision of a fence, but the wind just blowing right through it. It doesn't attach to it; it just blows right through it. And you could use that vision just about with anything. Here on the East Coast, in Virginia Beach, we have at the seashore. A lot of times they put up these picket fences to keep the sand dunes in place, right? And when the wind blows, it blows right through it. It doesn't knock the fence down because there's enough room between the slats. So keep enough room within you to allow the circumstances to flow through so that you don't attach yourself. But remember, we're using joy in our life to keep that balance and to keep that center so that we can see the joy and the moments in life and appreciate and bring that appreciation into our being, and that love and centeredness into our being, and allow the rest of the circumstances to just flow through. It's not healthy to grasp. It's not healthy to grasp onto all of the circumstances and all of the hurt, because it harms us. It's not healthy for us, and we don't want to reside in an unstable, unhealthy state of being. So we want to pay attention because we need to understand what's going on. But it doesn't mean that we agree with a lot of the circumstances that pass through, but we allow ourselves to see what's happening, but reside within our joy and our beauty, and allow life to move forward, and we can participate and make things better in what ways that we can. So we focus on what is achievable by ourselves and bring that into the circumstances and allow us to move forward. So the first steps in our spiritual practice is understanding our balance, and coming into our center so that we can use that to move deeper into our awareness of ourself, to better ourselves, to find that joy and that love that resides within the center, and then bring that outwardly into the world, but not allowing ourselves to be hanging on to stuff in the world. Instead, that we're flowing through the world in a much better way. Those are amazing first steps in a spiritual practice, to be able to ground, be centered, allow ourselves to bring the joy into our world, and interact in that way. I hope that this reminder of the beginning of a practice was helpful for you, and I hope you'll come back and listen to us next week. I hope you have a blessed week. Namaste.